everyone, welcome for today's session. Today we are going to learn about the integration of remote devices using Logfile protocol. Logfile protocol allows IBM QRadar to retrieve archived log files from a remote host. The Logfile protocol is an outbound active protocol intended for systems that write daily event logs. The Logfile protocol is not appropriate for devices that append information to their event files. Log files are retrieved one at a time using SFTP, FTP, SCP, or FTPS. The Logfile protocol can manage plain text comprised files or file archives. The archive must contain plain text files that can be processed one line at a time. When the Logfile protocol downloads an event file, the information retrieved in the file will get updated in the log activity tab. Please note, if additional information is written to the files after the download is complete, the appended file information will not be processed. Let's consider a scenario where the data is present inside the directory /file/path. The file name present here is event_file_timestamp. As you can see, the file is generated every hour. Our aim is to pull the file from this remote devices to IBM QRadar. Now, let's go to IBM QRadar GUI. To retrieve the file, we need to open the log source management, go to admin and click on log sources. The log source management app is open and now we will create a new log source by clicking on new log source. I have clicked new log sources, then select single log source, choose universal DSM as a type and set the protocol to log file and click next. Let's configure the log source parameter. Let's name this log source test log source log file and you can provide a description. If you want to add the log source to a group, simply add it to the group. If you have an extension, you can add it and select the target event collector. I have enabled the coalescing over here. Click on next to configure the protocol parameter. Provide log source identifier. For now, IP address is the identifier. In the service type, you can select FTP, FTPS, SCP, SFTP or AWS. I am selecting SFTP for now. In the remote IP or hostname section, you will need to type either the hostname or the IP address of the end device. I have provided the IP address of the end device. Select the port number. I am using port 22 for SFTP. In the remote user section, type the username required to log in to the host that contains the event file. Enter the password. You can either use the username and password or you can use the key. In the remote directory section, type the directory location on the remote host from which the files will be retrieved. For FTP, if the log files are in the remote user's home directory, you can leave the remote directory section blank. If you want to retrieve the data from the subfolders, you should enable the recursive option. Provide input for file name patterns. Let's go back to the Linux box. You can see here that the event_file_ has a common pattern. Hence, I am using the remote file section as event_files star.log. In the recurrence section, type a time interval to determine how frequently the remote directory is scanned for new log. The minimum value is 15 minutes and I am using that value. Note, for minutes use M, for hours use H, for days use D. If you want to run on specific days, select the appropriate option. EPS threshold. This defines the number of events per second the protocol cannot exceed. I am setting it to 100 as the default value. Ignore previously processed files. You can select this checkbox to track files that have already been processed by the log source. If you disable this option, QRadar will pull the same file again during the next polling interval. Be cautious while using this option. Event generator. To see more details about the event generator, click on Show More. This will display additional options and their functions. At this point, I am using line by line. option, which means each line is processed as a single event. Regex with multiple line option. If you want to define a start pattern and an end pattern using regex, you can use this option. However, now I'm sticking to line by line option. Let's click next. Testing the configuration. We are now at the last stage where we need to test the configuration. Click on Start Test. You will see that the test is performed successfully, indicating by a check mark at the bottom. Two events from two files are detected. Let's confirm these events from the files. Go back to the Linux box. You can see the files are present. I will use the cat command over here to view the content of the files. In the first file, you can see event. In the second file, you can see event 2. Verify this has the expected events. Completing the setup by click on finish. The log source is now created. Deploying the changes. Next, we need to perform a deployment. Go to the admin and click on deploy changes. Once the deployment is completed, return to the log source. You can now see that the last event time is updated to today's date. To view the events, click on the checkbox to the log source and click on events. Now you will see that the log source is the same, test log source log file. The events are coming as expected. To confirm the same, let's go to display and click on raw events. So here are our events. So this is how you can integrate a remote device using the Logfile protocol. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one.